Hello, my name is Nancy Feinstein, and I am a Board of Trustee member of Keuka College, and it is my distinct pleasure to be here today to introduce our next speaker. First of all, her name is Laura Anglin, and she has just joined us from Albany as part of her role as the 7th President of the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities, the CICU, which is a nonprofit organization that represents colleges and universities in New York State, over 100 of them, to guide the public policy in Albany. She has just come from Albany, where they are trying to end their current session, and she was there protecting the rights of higher education. So our kudos to Laura. Just a little bit of background. Laura has an extensive background in education, in public policy, promoting education through her roles. She has served as a deputy budget director and deputy comptroller for 2 of our prior governors of New York State. And she also has been in public service over a period of 20 years in many other roles. They involve leadership and fiscal management, public policy, economic analysis, and public administration. And she really has played a central role in public policy making, in particular with education, higher education, but also transportation, taxation, environment, and public protection. So she is well versed in many of these public policy issues. And as budget director, Laura Anglin advised the governor on all public policy matters affecting our state's finances and was responsible for developing fiscal policy. So you can see that she has been very involved in promoting the betterment of our citizens, and in particular of our interest today in educational areas. One of the things that she's going to be presenting today is seeking global opportunities for students, faculty, and joint research initiatives, and how appropriate after our prior speaker, looking at ways to collaborate together. So we welcome her and look forward to her comments.
Good morning, and thank you, Nancy, for that very kind introduction. As Nancy said, unfortunately, in Albany, we were trying to wind down our legislative session, so I'm running back and forth, coming in last night and leaving after the presentation today to go back and make sure that our interests are protected and nothing bad happens while I'm away. So, I am Laura Anglin, and I do work with more than 100 private not-for-profit colleges and universities here in New York State through, as Nancy said, an association called the Commission on Independent Colleges and Universities, or CICU for ease. We are a non-governmental agency, a not-for-profit, located in the state capital in Albany, and my association represents 112 institutions of higher education, not-for-profit institutions, and we represent nearly 500,000 students. Among our member campuses is our host for this event, Keuka College, and I'd like to thank Joe for his leadership in pulling this event together. I think it looks like it's been a tremendous success. CICU's mission is to help our diverse members speak with one single voice. We represent our colleges at the local level, the state level, the federal government level. We talk to policymakers, and we advocate for government funding to allow students to meet the expenses of college education. We also support efforts to prepare students to be college ready, and we create avenues for membership so that they can share their stories about all the tremendous work that they are doing within their communities. I want to first reflect briefly on the positive civic role that Nancy plays as a Keuka College trustee. In addition to her scholarly research and her teaching career at another one of CICU's members, the University of Rochester, Nancy devotes her time to ensuring the strategic and fiscal well-being of Keuka College. Nancy's role as an active citizen in the life of her community is one of the distinct outcomes of a well-educated population. We know that a multitude of benefits flow from New York's institutions of higher education into nearly every aspect of life, from improved health care and national security to technology innovations and civic engagement. College students volunteer more often, they vote more often, and participate more in their communities. A college education is also the most effective way of transcending distinctions of race, ancestry, or wealth that can often fragment a society. Reports by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, provide evidence that governments yield significant financial returns on funds that they allocate for higher education. In a recent interview with the Chronicle of Higher Education, the individual who heads the OECD unit that prepared one of these reports said, and I quote, "In virtually every country, the public benefits of higher education outweigh the cost. Strictly from an economic point of view, the person who earns a college degree is on track to earn more, which in turn yields greater resources for governments to focus on their priorities." When factoring in the social benefits of a college education, investments in higher education made by states and nations yield real talent dividends that will benefit us all. With that in mind, it is my privilege to be with ASAIHL community today, its friends and honored guests, as you gather to share experiences and build new relationships. I thank you for the invitation to address you and offer my appreciation for this opportunity to greet you. Now, it's my understanding that it's been more than 25 years since ASAIHL last gathered in the US, and that this conference marks just the second time that you have met in the United States, and the first time that we've been able to welcome you to our great state of New York. And now you celebrate your 55th anniversary in Niagara Falls, one of New York's international gateway cities, and what a beautiful city it is. People across the globe surely know the iconic symbol of the majestic falls here in Niagara, and also the vibrancy of New York City. However, I suspect that it may come as a surprise to many of you here that here in New York we are home to so many institutions of higher learning. New York State has more than 250 degree-granting higher education institutions, with more renowned universities than any other state in America. The institutions in New York encompass nearly 150 private not-for-profit colleges and universities, those that my organization represent. The State University of New York, or SUNY, one of the largest public higher education systems in the world, with 64 colleges, technical colleges, undergraduate and graduate colleges. And also the City University of New York, CUNY, which is in New York City and is the largest urban system in the US, comprising 23 colleges and professional schools. Together, these colleges and universities educate every year about 1.2 million students. Nearly 80,000 of those students come to New York each year from other countries. New York is unique that it is home to more independent colleges and universities than any other state or nation. Independent institutions, unlike public colleges and universities, do not receive the majority of their funding from government sources. Rather, they rely primarily on tuition, endowments, and donations from alumni and friends. Independent colleges and universities in New York are a magnet for young people who are drawn here by the sector's impressive array of academic programs, college environments, and social diversity. With this diverse and robust higher education comes broad potential for the capacity building and global partnerships that you seek to foster. And also, so therefore my remarks today will focus on the topic, as Nancy said, of seeking global opportunities for students, faculty, and joint research initiatives. The best way to address this topic is for me to take you on a virtual tour of our state. According to the most recent census data, some 19.4 million people call New York their home. A recent analysis by The Economist magazine points out, both in terms of population and gross domestic product, or GDP, New York is roughly equivalent to Australia. Nearly half of the state's population, more than 8.2 million people, live in New York City within the 5 boroughs, including Manhattan, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. For comparison, if we just look at our close city here of Buffalo, it's roughly about 260,000 students, individuals who live here. To Geographically, let me just talk a few minutes about that. The state covers approximately 47,000 square miles, or about 122,000 square kilometers. From here, traveling by car would take nearly 8 hours to reach my hometown on Long Island. Of course, that's without traffic. As you know, it could take 10 or 12 hours if we look at traffic. So, but you know, if we go the direct route, we would pass through other very similar cities as Buffalo, such as Rochester or Syracuse or Albany, along a very well-developed highway. Or we can take a more rural route and head through the beautiful scenes of upstate New York. As we consider the landscape of higher education options that you're looking at today, let's examine why global ties make sense at a time when higher education is being called upon across the world to serve as an economic engine. Also, let's look at existing opportunities for student exchanges and how our institutions are reaching out and establishing home bases abroad. And finally, I'd like to focus a little bit on faculty interaction for research and collaboration. Along the way, I will touch upon the world-renowned colleges and universities, innovative programs, cutting-edge research, and award-winning professors that make New York State one of the most pursued partners of higher education collaboration. Now, David Ellwood, Dean of Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government, has written that all interesting problems cross boundaries. Certainly, I think we would all agree. It would seem that the natural solution to these interesting problems will require responses by academic institutions from around the world. The international partnerships, such as those you are working to forge at this conference, are a case in point. Over these few days, it's evident from the sessions offered at this meeting that you are taking steps that will help higher education address some of the world's interesting problems. By thinking together, we are doing this by effectively utilizing technology to facilitate research activities between universities from different countries. We are establishing mechanisms to promote inter-university partnerships. We are identifying protocols to allow individual researchers, educators, and administrators to work in research activities and delivery of services. And we are exploring coordinated approaches to core and elective offerings to satisfy degree requirements and that draw upon the unique competencies of particular institutions. When OECD nations gathered last fall, academics and policymakers wrestled with how higher education can play a critical role in helping both individuals and economies recover from the global recession, even in the face of mounting fiscal constraints. Each of us here today already understands higher education must be at the table in the search for solutions to ensure a sustainable economic recovery. Of course, an integral role in finding those solutions includes developing a high-level research capacity and producing a highly skilled workforce. Both are essential to job creation and economic development, especially as our respective countries continue to see levels of unemployment, especially among our young people. From my interaction with the presidents of my member colleges and universities, I know that this is their strategic direction. They see firsthand not only how colleges and universities serve as social and cultural resources, but also as economic drivers. Across the U.S., in small towns and in large urban areas, we find that private colleges and universities are anchoring economic development in their communities as extensions of their mission to provide education and conduct research. Take New York State as an example. A glance at New York's top 10 major employers reveals deep changes in our state's economic profile. The historic dominance of manufacturing firms is basically over. Today's top 10 list reflects the importance of knowledge-making enterprises and service industries, including higher education, medical centers, digital communications, and supermarkets. The top employers in our state come from higher education, a segment not traditionally viewed as a private employer, let alone a top employer in our state. The higher education sector also serves as a talent magnet and an innovation and workforce catalyst. This trio of benefits lifts higher education from an economic mainstay to a driver for the next generation of leaders, as well as for the entire state economy. Just this past year, the governor of the state of New York, Andrew Cuomo, affirmed during his first State of the State speech this past January the importance of higher education when he said higher education will be the key economic driver for this state. And since then, in the many proposals that he has put forward in a very difficult, tough economic and fiscal climate, he has stressed the critical role that academic institutions will play in transforming this state's economy. We're very fortunate. One example that has drawn support and praise from our government leaders here in New York State is a new consortium of more than 65 independent and public colleges and universities called Study New York. The largest of its type in the United States, this group is actively promoting New York State as an ideal destination for students from around the world. The consortium's recently launched website, studynewyork.us, will help students and international advisors explore their options and make the best possible choices for higher education in New York State. We are very pleased to be one of the main supporters and also been involved with the launch of this new program. And I think there's some materials out in the lobby that we'll have for you to take and look at. So starting from the premise that global cooperation and partnerships are one key way that higher education can contribute to our collective economic well-being, let me now take you on a tour of New York's landscape, looking at the distinct missions of our diverse array of higher education institutions. As one of the most beautiful states in the nation, New York offers a superior quality of life, a wealth of cultural and recreational opportunities, and some of the most beautiful and diverse landscapes in the world. From here in Niagara Falls to the Statue of Liberty, from the beautiful Adirondack Mountains to the Finger Lakes, from the Baseball Hall of Fame to the Museum of Modern Art. New York has it all: sophisticated cities, charming towns, quaint villages, rural wilderness, unparalleled art and sports venues, and world-class entertainment. The higher education landscape in the U.S. varies dramatically from state to state, and you will find that New York's higher education enterprise is as diverse as the state's geography. Some of the major research universities you will find in New York State include Columbia University, Cornell University, New York University, Syracuse University, and the University of Rochester. New York ranks second among the states in research and development expenditures for colleges and universities, about $4 billion, according to the National Science Foundation. And it ranks third for grant dollars, about $2 billion, from the National Institutes of Health. Further, 6 of New York's independent universities rank in the top 50 medical schools, according to the latest list from the U.S. News & World Report. Another prevalent option on the New York's landscape is the traditional liberal arts college, such as Bard, Barnard, Colgate, Elmira, Hamilton, Hobart and William Smith, Houghton, Manhattan, St. Lawrence, Sarah Lawrence, Skidmore, Union, Vassar, and Wells. Liberal arts colleges, often smaller than universities, typically offer undergraduate degrees and some master's degrees. Other CXU member campuses, such as Medaille College and Utica College, are comprehensive institutions that offer bachelor's and graduate degree programs that blend the liberal arts with professional preparation and disciplines as diverse as criminal justice and occupational therapy. What's more, New York's independent sector also has 20 private engineering schools and programs, 9 private medical schools, 13 law schools, 2 dental colleges, and 3 nationally recognized women-only colleges. You will also find specialized colleges here that emphasize preparation for careers and training in specific areas such as technology, teaching, art, music, business, or nursing. We are also proud that we have the greatest concentration of historically religious and/or faith-related institutions in the United States. These campuses, such as Deweyville College and Robert Wesleyan College, make it possible for students to study in an environment that emphasizes values and tradition. Adding to the post-secondary options, there are also numerous 2-year-only colleges and local community colleges that offer programs of study leading to an associate degree or certificates. As you look for partners in New York State, it makes sense to consider the independent sector. Exceptional quality, diverse academic offerings, and personal attention are attracting record numbers of students to the state's private independent colleges and universities. New York's independent sector of higher education offers distinct programs of study not found elsewhere. By enrolling in innovative programs and distinguished teaching methods and faculty, students are gaining high caliber skills necessary in a rapidly changing world. CICU's more than 100 member colleges and universities offer many existing opportunities for student exchanges, and many are expanding and establishing home bases around the world. We live in an increasingly mobile society as a result of rapid advances in technology that has made access to the far corners of the world immediate. Although the number of students who are internationally mobile is reported to be only 2% of the entire world student population, the number of foreign students enrolled in tertiary education worldwide grew by 85% between 2000 and 2007. New York State is one of the most sought-after destinations for international study. As I noted earlier, each year nearly 80,000 students come from outside the U.S. to study in New York. The state ranks second in the nation for hosting international students. 5 countries currently sending the most students to New York include China, India, South Korea, Canada, and Taiwan. In addition, New York City ranks as the nation's leading host city, opening its doors to more international students than any other city in the U.S. Columbia University and New York University rank among the top 5 of all U.S. institutions for their size of their international student body. New York's academic, business, government, and community leaders recognize that those who come from abroad to study, in addition to their academic contributions, help deepen awareness of other cultures and campuses and beyond. As I noted, colleges and universities are key drivers for economic growth and opportunity in many communities throughout New York State, and they are all eager to welcome international students. The state's recent international enrollment numbers demonstrate growing global interest in all that this great state of New York has to offer. I have described the travelers who now come into our state. Now I want to talk just a little bit about how campuses are establishing overseas the same top quality education students and employers have come to expect from our campuses at home. These branch campuses strengthen the threads connecting our countries and help to prepare world citizens who can collaborate across cultures and make a difference anywhere in the world. Offering degrees abroad makes perfect economic sense. With an estimated 100 U.S. branch campuses and extension sites operating internationally, exporting American higher education is a billion-dollar business. Degrees from New York's independent sector are respected around the world, and students from Belize to Bangkok covet the rigorous and innovative curricula that are hallmarks of American-style programs. When it comes to establishing a permanent global presence, New York's independent sector campuses usually follow one of 3 models. First, they establish a branch campus, as I mentioned, or they provide distance education, or they often partner with an institution in a foreign country, keeping the New York name and brand. Some countries require that a college or university partner with a local organization of the host region. Let me highlight just a few of the many examples of these independent sector international higher education collaborations. In Croatia, Rochester Institute of Technology, which we call RIT, has established itself as RIT's American College of Management and Technology in the city of Dubrovnik. RIT's American model of tourism management education has helped revitalize the Croatian hospitality sector. It offers associate's and bachelor's degrees, a master's degree of science, and several certificate programs in hospitality and service management to the international student body of over 600 students. In addition, RIT has a presence in the Dominican Republic, where it offers a master's degree in service management. In the Gulf region, a private foundation organized by the Emir of Qatar established the Weill Cornell Medical College there. The college offers a Cornell MD degree based on the same admission standards and curriculum as that offered in the main campus in New York City. Indeed, using the same curriculum and faculty from the main campus are two primary ways universities try to maintain their standards abroad. In a bold experiment, which was previously mentioned, a bold experiment to create a world honors college, NYU Abu Dhabi this year welcomed an inaugural class of 150 students from 39 countries. The students from countries around the world can choose from 20 majors as they pursue a liberal arts education in a global network university. This revolutionary model has as its heart the belief that its graduates will be able to interact and lead in a world filled with many different faiths, educational traditions, and cultures. The University of Rochester has found a niche in Bern, Switzerland, with its Simon Graduate School of Business. The program, located in one of the world's dynamic financial capitals, attracts students who seek a flexible program to allow them to advance their education by earning an MBA without disrupting their careers. The university's degree promotes an international experience by also requiring brief residencies in Rochester and Shanghai. Closer to where we gather here today, Niagara University recently added a bachelor's degree program to its 30-year presence in Toronto, Canada. Launched in January of 2007, the university's bachelor's degree program in teacher education became fully enrolled at its Toronto location immediately. CSU member campuses are also working to export the New York brand to Asia. The Culinary Institute of America is in Singapore through a partnership with the Temasek Polytech to deliver its premier culinary know-how to eager young chefs who would not otherwise have had the opportunity to learn from a prestigious university. In October of 2007, New York Institute of Technology, NYIT, established the first American undergraduate campus in China. A year later, the first group of NYIT Nanjing students traveled to New York as part of NYIT's Global Exchange Program. Then in the fall of 2009, NYIT Manhattan hosted a group of professors from Nanjing for collaborative training, networking, and cultural exchange. At any given time, 30% of NYIT's student body is studying outside of New York, with campuses currently in Canada and multiple locations in the Middle East. All of the U.S. colleges offering degree programs in China, of all the colleges, Keuka boasts the largest enrollment. With its unique experiential learning model, the college began offering its Bachelor's of Science degree in Management Science in China in 2002, and now has more than 4,000 Chinese students pursuing a Keuka degree at 4 partner universities in China. Further, under a 2010 agreement, some 125 students at Vietnam National University in Hanoi are now pursuing a Keuka's bachelor's degree in management. So beyond these many opportunities that I discussed, there are other opportunities for students and teaching faculties. I want to just talk briefly on the interaction that we have for research collaboration. From research centers focused on Southeast Asia to international academic conferences, New York's independent sector, again, has much to offer. For example, the South Asian Center of Syracuse University and the Southeast Asia program at Cornell University are designated by the United States Department of Education as national resource centers. They help U.S. students and scholars become more culturally competent and knowledgeable participants in the global economy. Beyond these centers of scholarship on Southeast Asia, each year, New York State draws thousands of scholars for international research conferences focused on a diverse array of disciplines and topics. Let me just share a few examples, and then we'll wind up and take some comments. Polytechnic Institute of New York University co-hosted the 6th International Conference on Ethical Issues in Biomedical Engineering, at which biomedical engineers, philosophers, research scientists, lawyers, students, clinicians, and representatives from industry and federal agencies examine the ethical issues associated with the development of new implants, devices, and treatments to improve the quality of life of patients with devastating diseases. Syracuse University hosted a global research conference on entrepreneurship that drew 330 scholars from 29 countries, with sessions featuring the work of researchers from Australia, Singapore, India, and Vietnam. Looking ahead, early next year, Fordham University will host global leaders in emerging cyber threat analysis, operations, and enforcement to discover and share critical intelligence on issues shaping the future of cybersecurity. In conclusion, in my remarks this morning, I'm trying to introduce you to just a handful of some of the things that our colleges and universities are doing, their innovative programs, their cutting-edge research, and really want to highlight why I believe this makes New York State one of the most pursued partners for higher education and one of the number one destinations. Our collaborations to date have been fruitful. The opportunities for partnership can only grow in this area, in this era of cooperation and exchange. I invite international partnerships between your countries and New York and pledge my assistance in making any introductions that you might need. Let us work together so that all can benefit from the talent dividends that come from state and national investments in higher education. Thank you for your very kind attention, and I'm happy to welcome any questions or comments, or I'll be around a little bit after if anyone wants to come on and talk. Thank you.